What's up, man?
Yeah, welcome. All right. Everybody, it's Monday night. It's a community manager meeting where we get together with our friends and associates who are out there managing things and get to talk a little bit about what's going on. Tomorrow night is the Mario Fixes Shit session at 7:30, and we'll be live in the studio tomorrow morning. Had to cancel today's show for those of you tuned in. Unfortunately, I have a friend who's sick, and I have to make certain visits to the treatment center with them.
Yeah.
And so when that happens, it's to re-emphasize what is most important, and it's the people. That's who's the most important. So that's why I had to do that. And there may be a few in the future. We try to let you know as soon as I find out. But that's why we do have to sometimes cancel those Mondays. So I want to welcome everyone to the community manager meeting. I think in the chat room, Vic, we got PMC.
Yeah, it's P.
Hey, so that track I just played, because now I have this motivation, because I learned so much from Mac McAllister, everybody. Mac McAllister is in the chat room. That's our GNN bureau chief. And he has the Online with Mac Retro Jazz and Blues show. So it's a place where I get to hear a lot of wonderful music. And he's got a wonderful program out this week. You got to go take a look. That's onlinewithmac.ning.com. Go take a listen. Listen to the show and enjoy it. He had me cracking up. But we'll be talking about that tomorrow. Hey, but the music you were listening to tonight, that actually comes from me getting ready for Mac. I was trying to, now I got this motivation, Vic, to pull out some of the tracks that you and I know from the old days and see if, because, we've kind of fallen that zone behind,
Yeah.
a few years behind Mac.
Just don't tell them what years it's at.
Yeah, we won't tell you what years.
No.
But loving the same kinds of music.
Yeah.
So the track you just heard was by Kazu, K-A-Z-U, Matsui.
Yeah.
Kazu Matsui from the Kazu Matsui Project. That was Marva King on vocals.
Yep.
Marva King on lead vocals. And we get the pleasure of seeing Marva out every now and then, right, Vic?
Yeah, well, you get that wonderful pleasure, man. I'm just a witness. I'm a bird in a tree that's just sitting on a log, on a branch end. That's about it, man.
Well, we do have music. So then tomorrow, too, we have some things we want you guys to enjoy. We think you like it. PMC, Philip Cusper, the Beatmaster, a.k.a. PMC, is in the chat room, too. Well, thank you, Phil, for the wonderful words of encouragement. Yeah, I'm just getting better, and guess who's getting sick?
That's jacked up, man. It's trying to hit me. It was trying.
It's Vic.
But I'm fighting it. I'm fighting it. Hopefully tomorrow, I'm on no matter what tomorrow, so you'll know.
Yeah, we got a busy week for those we can tell everybody. We got big stuff coming up. Shark Tank, one of the Shark Tank winners is going to be here on Friday.
Yes.
We got a special live broadcast on Saturday at 3 p.m., right?
Keita sings. Right.
So we plus we got other stuff happening.
Yeah, you got Wednesday also. That wonderful woman who loves to be your co-host on the show, Jennifer Irene.
Jennifer Irene Gonzalez.
There you go, man.
So Wednesday's going to be great. We're going to do a different kind of a show on Wednesday. So you guys be there. Yeah. All right. I want to tell you, it's been, trying to get over this virus made things a little slower. But I did want to respond to some of the questions we've been getting. Remember, on the Tuesdays, we're going to try to attempt to deal with issues and questions. And on the Mondays, I try to give you some of the information that's up and coming and happening. So they have a little bit different format, but we're flexible in that. We've been getting some questions again, Vic. We always get this question, and the question is, do I need to be a community manager, or why do I need to be a community manager, or should I have a community manager? All related forms of that, and it's really been sparking up. I didn't expect a response. Last week we had 19 people, right?
Yeah.
Then we had 19 people.
They were looking for the knowledge, man.
In the room.
Yeah. Let me ask you something before you go any further.
Okay.
Let me relate it to something. I think when you relate the questions, would you say the community manager it's taken out. It's taken from like the A&R rep in music, but now it represents a lifestyle. Meaning the AR person is a communication device between promotion, marketing, branding, community, but more featured on the music at hand and having a relationship with the artist specifically and new development and the things of that outreach. Is the community manager just a hybrid that just now touches everything else as well, just not music?
Well, it is sort of like that term because remember, a lot of us had trouble defining what A&R meant. You
Right.
could look it up,
Yeah.
but that didn't necessarily define it.
Right.
But it is like that. It's a term that people are unfamiliar with, and that's part of the issue.
Right.
But it is kind of like that. Basically, it has to do with someone who has to represent you to the world out there.
Right.
And when you first think about it, you say, "Wait a minute, wow, who is representing me?" Well, for most of us, you are your own community manager. It's just like most of us, you've been ignoring the job.
Right.
Me
Or
too.
not- or maybe doing some aspects of the job, but now it has a definition and terminology that deals with what they call the protocol and disciplines,
Right.
and then the added responsibility.
And he had and here's the problem with it. None of it sounds fun, right? Even though it could be. None of it sounds fun, but it could be. So maybe, like you said, there's certain words you never like, Vic, and community manager still has a ring to it that sounds like work.
Work. Hey, look.
And some people, it's like when I say take a class, some of my friends make a face.
Yeah.
And I tell them, no, it's not like high school, okay? They're not going to punish you.
Now, it's interesting when we're saying this, and I'm going to try to chime in. PMC, you said you was one of those people that had trouble with the A&R term, and Max said it was just back in the day, it was called customer relations. Well, it is, but what's added to it? And I think the production person, you're more involved in your own self-production and not just distant afar. You're actually somewhat integral in. You just can't be the A&R that has some product and he says, "Oh, I'm just going out here, go to some events and give it away."
No, totally.
It's
In
more
fact,
different.
I
It's more
like
different.
that analogy. Let's just say you're a community manager for your own new CD. Okay? Because in the old days, when you did a CD, like people like us who are indies, right?
Yeah.
It was hard enough just to get the CD done. It was damn hard to get the CD done.
Right.
So by the time you had the CD done, you were looking at a world where it was about 1,500. It used to be the price break
Right.
was at over $1,000 to press. Everybody had to press. And even back then, when you found a bargain, almost always you had to get 1,000 units pressed. And I remember when that sort of crept down from $1,500 to like $1,200
Right.
to like $1,000. Okay? But it took a while. So everybody had this thing of making the music,
Right.
okay, then getting it pressed. But no one was out there promoting the music.
Right. Right.
And that was the issue for everybody who was an indie even then. When you have this product, who's out there promoting the product to get people to listen, to buy your CDs? For Mac, who does a weekly show, a very successful weekly show, who's out there promoting that product to the world? For us, who we do a show 3 days a week, who's out there promoting us to the world? Now, if you're lucky like we are, we have friends and associates that help us in this. But like this, again, is the blind leading the blind, right?
Well, and not in not all cases, because let me recognize somebody in the chat room. Love Eris. I always say Love Eris because I like that chime and that ring. But Eris in the studio in our chat room, and they say they want to come in and support. Well, let me tell you what I think is an example of a team, and we're related to it. That they have specific people and specific duties and responsibilities who I would call specialists. And you guys actually are, they're the ultimate professionals. They know exactly what they're doing. Well, they are community managers. But, what's better than a single community manager? A community manager team.
Well, look at
A
that.
sale.
Oh, how about
a
this?
model sale.
And some of them have help, but
Right.
but everybody doesn't have that. Eris, who's on the show,
Right.
has a wonderful team, right?
Right.
Of people that do all of this stuff.
True.
Okay, and part of what we're talking about is doing a bunch of this stuff for ourselves.
Right.
You and I, and others to do it for Pack Stereo and the different shows, the different components.
Right.
But also we recognize that there's a community out there which involves Mac,
Yeah.
right? His own channel, his own site, at the spoken words site, as
Yeah.
it becomes more successful. And so the whole point is who's going to do the stuff? And then secondly, what is the stuff? So again, a lot of the information that's coming in is for people who are entrepreneurial, who are saying to themselves, well, do I need to have one? And the answer is yes. An unequivocal yes.
Right.
Yes, yes. Yes, you need to have one. Yes, you need to be one. Why do we need to be one? Because the first thing we got to do is learn the habit set. Remember, we all rusty with this, right?
Right.
We all rusty with this. Okay, so whatever you have that you're doing, if it's this year's your book,
Right.
if it's your new CD that you have coming out,
Right.
okay,
Right.
if you have a show and you want to promote that,
Right. Right.
we're talking about the things that you do to actively represent yourself in cyberspace, on the internet, in social media. And the big thing is you have to do it pretty much what, Vic, every day, right?
Well, look, who are we talking to? You have two more, and I'm not saying that you can't do this. First of all, I don't want to do anything that deals with lecturing. I always learn that, try to lecture to adults. Come on now. You don't have to. What you really want to be is like red carpet, Oscar worthy, where you show up and you are the example of success. So what we're really trying to say is how can you compete with those who's already in the establishment, who already got grind, who already got teams? This is not about understanding, it's about activation. So to me, I rather, what do I do right now? I can wait to learn photography, videography, learn how to present myself on camera. I can go live. I can go through the training classes. I can do voiceover training. I can do all those things. It's better just go live.
Oh, it's
Get
good
your
to
feel.
go live.
Yeah.
And in some ways it's easy.
Right.
If you're a 25-year-old trying to promote some music, now when you go out to the club, what you need to do, now you have a job to do.
Right.
You need to, yes, now you can legitimize your hanging out, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday,
Hey, it's
to promote your stuff.
Now, let me just say this because I don't want to get it because I know you're going to hit a finer point.
No, I
on
love
this.
what you're saying. I love what you
The part, yesterday I was it shows you sometimes you could be ahead of the game was during the Super Bowl. So I'm thinking it's going to be a day where I'm not going to be doing video. I'm not going to be covering any special events, and really you can't. And one thing that's happening with social media, do you think that is more receiving by the corporate companies and labels? They have more walls up because they've embraced it now. They still want to insulate it for their own use, no matter what. I'm going to tweet. I'm trying to do all my stuff. And I'm at Super Bowl, and I'm going to holler at Verizon. I'm going to holler at LA Live when I could not even send out one tweet. Now, the funny thing about this is that when you're restrained by the technology, you're a community manager. What do you do next?
You mean when you were out at
when
the
I was Super Bowl, I could not deliver content.
Why couldn't you tweet?
Dude, you're so funny. See,
At the Nokia, they had the internet locked down?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you
The
guys.
Nokia Center?
I was at the Nokia Center, but not in the center. I went to 3 different places. I ended up at Hooters. Don't y'all be mad. I ended up at Hooters. It was the only place that allowed me to come in without waiting in a line. But the part that I got into is that I felt like
I can't stand Hooters.
Man, you got the wrong attitude.
I just can't stand. We
Well,
can
first
go.
of all,
I have
don't-
Hooters stories.
You know what? Don't go there.
But go on.
No, don't go.
I can't stand
Just
Hooters.
leave it alone. All right, just whomsa. Okay, check it out. The part that got me is that you're always on in social media, so I can't wait till they call community manager another term.
Well, whatever.
because it just, you know what it reminds me of?
Maybe we have to invent a term.
Well, I don't know if it has to invent one as it that. I think people, when they say A&R rep, do you know that has a little bit of gloss and a little bit
But
of
half
floss
of us
to
don't
it?
know, still know what it means.
Right.
And remember, you and I were around when people were picking the term community manager.
Right.
So it's not rocket science, you guys. Everybody to agree on these terms. You don't have to just go with every term. But you need to, but when you don't, you need to create one that has more bang.
Right.
Like Vic hates cyberspace.
Oh, I can't stand it.
He hates the term cyberspace. It's gonna die out. It's dead out. It's dead
gone,
already.
man.
It's almost gone.
It's already gone. You can't even. You go cyber cafe. Do you go anywhere where they call it cyber cafe anymore? It's gone, man.
Yeah, it's probably gone. Well, community manager. Maybe you need another term that has more. It has
to be defined.
swagger.
You know what the part is? Terms are related to pay. I learned in corporate America, they say, we can invent terminology all day long, but you want the terminology that gets you paid. When a community manager can relate to a pay revenue in return, you won't have to worry about it. But right now, people are trying to find what that means as it relates to revenue earning.
As opposed to find what it means, why don't we talk about what you need to do?
Yeah.
And then you can figure out to find out
where the money is, right?
What it means, because everybody debating that, okay? So let's get to the point with that. Right. Someone has to represent you out there in the world, probably daily. And you could talk in terms of how much time per day, and it's going to vary. There are people who put in 3 and 4 hours a day. Some people put in 5 and 6, 8 hours a day.
Right.
Some people put in 15 to 20 minutes a day. I think let's talk about tasks, and then we'll see what it adds to. We think that you need to be communicating, or at least attempting, and this is to have a two-way communication with your own community. And you need to probably do that anywhere from 3 to 5 times a day. Now, if you were 17,
right,
trying to get laid, you have no trouble tweeting 30 times a day.
That's wrong, man. That's wrong. Man.
But remember, this is what happens.
Yeah,
it is a matter of our attitude.
Yeah.
But what happens is, you guys, your lives are so interesting. If you really consider the reality television phenomena, imagine the kind of tweets that people do. Let me just throw out some. Here's Mac McAllister, GNM bureau chief, right?
Right.
Up there in Port Townsend. Here's his morning tweet. Up out of bed, having some classical, looking out on the bay of Port Townsend. He could say Wanda Fuka. It's actually Wanda Fuka or whatever.
That's right.
But remember, Max said, well, what does that say? Well, remember, when the people are following your life,
right?
It's a whole different thing. I tell people, pretend you're Oprah. Do you care what, or Sade?
Right.
Because that for our group, it was we had to give y'all young folks understand. I used to say, if Sade was going to sit around and look through her old photos and talk about it, would you want to see that? See, for the young folks, if you pick one of their people, if Gaga's going to sit around and go through her yearbooks, you want to see that? See, a bunch of people do. So you have to take the attitude that you're famous in that sense. But remember, the goal is to interact with your community. So you could talk about, in the beginning, how many times am I going to tweet a day?
Right.
And do a Facebook. So I would say, typically, you need to tweet about what's going on relative to your life.
Right.
And start to finesse the ability to have a two-way conversations with multiple people.
Right.
The big guys who are the leaders in this talk about the fact that they carry on 200 conversations.
Right.
Which sounds incredible to me.
Right.
But they say, no, I have 200 different conversations all day long.
Right. And look, and let me say this. This is interesting. Now, I'm not saying people need to do that. I think the easiest role, so sometimes we get into the difficulty of technology and this overdrive. You know what the easiest role is?
What?
Is that if you had 2 or 3 experts in the room, one in photography, one in video, and say one in just social media apps, isn't it better to have what they call, I said a gangster room of modules and cells of people and networks can't wait to get the grind go. And you have 50 people in the room, but they're all willing to take a responsibility. See, mine is about relationship building. I think you got to build out cells. I think cells of people.
Well,
because you'll spend too much time just having them to try to learn, because learning apps and technology is self-identified to me. You don't need to wait for people because they've already made the survey and study to go. Okay, say for example, when we say community,
they should wait. They certainly shouldn't be waiting for anything.
Right. That's what I'm saying. They're waiting for the example. Most of the time, people are waiting to see what you're going to do with it.
Are y'all waiting for me? Are y'all really? Oh, come on.
That's what they're.
Well, I'm getting started. Let me just tell you. First of all, Mac, I tweet.
Right.
Okay. What my problem is, I have one-way conversations.
Right.
I'm basically telling you stuff.
Right.
I'm not having a two-way conversation.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to change. But I do tweet. For example, I use DellECO.us so that the stuff I read, I can bookmark. And when I bookmark, it already goes to that. That actually gets published.
Right.
There are people who actually read. Here it is, Vic. If you go to delicious.com/packstereo, where here's Mario's bookmarks. I learned about this years ago. We talked about this. There are people who actually follow what it is I read.
Right.
And go to my bookmarks, and they go see what I'm reading, and then go follow those things and comment.
Right.
But what I need to do, and this only comes from me just clicking on a bookmark as I go read stuff. Like,
right.
I'm reading about Allen Iverson.
Right.
You know, I'm reading about stuff like this. I'm reading about China, where they have actually started selling fresh cans of fresh air.
Right.
In a can.
Right. I know.
Okay, so I have but remember now, the goal is to have two-way communications. What you and I, well, you do more than me. I must admit, Vic is a little different. Vic is ahead of us, okay? He does actually have conversations back and forth with people. He kind of does it. You can go look at what he's doing. Me, I still have the one side of things where I tell you what I'm doing. I'm doing this. I'm listening to this. Right. I'm watching that.
Right.
Now I'm trying to ask more questions, but then you got to be willing to interact with the people. Okay?
Right.
All right?
Right.
Now, so you can say to yourself, okay, I'm going to do an hour a day. Now, Vic, here we go. I know Vic has his own personal feelings about when you start laying how much time per day. So you would think I'd be the hardcore one. Vic is like, this is your life, right? Vic goes there immediately. And how much you gonna put toward it? How important is this now? And you go, how much? So I'm gonna leave that. I just quote.
Well, I know what he's doing.
He can go there. Vic will go there on you. I'm just trying to get you started. So I'm trying to manipulate a little bit.
That's cool.
It's not manipulation if I tell you, right?
Hey man, look. You know what? You know what it reminds me? I tell Mario, I know a lot of people, it's different. I always say it's like multi-level marketing when people sit back and say, you have a regular job. And he says, you know what? You only have to do this 3 hours a day, and it pays this much money. I said, well, if it's that damn good, why should I only do it for 3 hours?
That's exactly what now, hey, check it out. Eris is in the room, and they're talking about, because they have a team, right?
Right.
But remember you guys, imagine if every member of the team,
right.
Can you imagine, even if you have a team already?
True.
Can you imagine what happens when every member of the group, the band, starts to embrace these packages? I mean, these tactics, excuse me.
Yeah.
That's when you see things start to grow, because people like to believe that building a following is a matter of luck.
Right.
They don't see it as a work issue.
No.
They don't see it as, I can build a following if I go out and do these things and work at it every day. They don't see that. They don't believe it.
Right.
Okay? They've never tried. Okay? And what we're telling everybody is this is not just us. Let me grab my book, Vic.
Yeah.
It's part of the revolution. Why? It's not just me who's talking about it. What happens is a bunch of us who are out there building stuff have been trying to consolidate and get our promotional efforts down. Right. I told you I got a stack of paper of articles. That's part of the problem. You know, Richard Millington just narrowed it down. Right. And simplified it. That's why we like the book Buzzing Communities, everybody. Right. Because because what it does is it starts to change the way you think. Right. And it includes what they call the best available information data. Right. So we think it's imperative that we learn how to promote ourselves. Also to get ready for the Shark Tank. And Vic and I know that we have to approach and talk to, be ready to interact with venture capitalists.
That's right.
Now, people say, well, Mario, wait, you scared? I say, listen, y'all, listen. You have to really plan for success. You can't wait for success. That's a misconception.
Right.
That you wait for stuff to hit you, then you get started.
Right.
That's just a misconception.
Right.
So in March, we're going to be going to the South by Southwest Conference, where people of color are notoriously underrepresented. Okay? All right? So that we can start to develop the contacts and initiate the communications with people to promote and grow this business.
Right.
So we have to take it seriously, and you have to take it seriously too.
Right.
And then you start to build in your resources. And what happens is when you try, then you start to find that you have resources. Let me give you an example. So Shaquille O'Neal's going to be at the Blacks in Technology, meeting. Now, the Blacks in Technology, let me see if I can find this. There's so few blacks known to be in these organizations that they form some organizations to promote and to help a lot of people of color to get seen and involved. So the Blacks in Technology group has they have a specific thing they do at South by Southwest. That's not the one I wanted, though. I want the other one. Okay. And there's a bunch of articles, if you go look at it, they're talking about where are the blacks in technology. So this group, now look who's going to be there. First of all, so this was at the South by Southwest conference where blacks and other, Latinos to a certain extent too, are certainly underrepresented. We're going to be there. We bit the bullet. We made the investment. But look who's going to be there for us to also attempt to interact with. First of all, Shaquille O'Neal. Okay? Then Dr. Mae Jemison. A bunch of you don't know that Mae Jemison, your first black woman astronaut, and I are old friends. We were in training together. In fact, she told me one night that she was going to be an astronaut. And I said, that's some crazy stuff. Okay? Because let's put it this, I wasn't helpful.
No, I know you wasn't.
Because I was scared for her. Because about being up there. And let me tell you, she's not a woman who needs people being afraid for her. And do you know when she called me up, when she got into the program, into the NASA program, the FBI came out to talk to me. She's going to be there. Okay? Yeah. So we have a history. I'm going to try to get some emails out. So when we're there, we can actually interact with some of these people and bring it to you. But my point being, you have to start to prepare yourself to interact with these worlds.
And let me say this to remind people so they don't feel like, it's no big deal. You don't have to explain this to young people. When you see all the people that's speaking, this is corporate relations and trying to get people of a certain age group who have not been born into social media. Now, you get around. First of all, everybody knows what's going to dominate this conference. Everybody knows it. Music, bar none.
Music usually.
Bar none. You can't. It's like you in your early 20s. Could anybody talk to you about anything about music? Partying, what have you.
That's right.
Their social media is on. What happens, the message here is to go to what we call it over the 30-plus group and on, who really didn't come up with this. So they're being talked to say, you need to embrace this. Well, okay. You guys keep talking. I'll just go over here and activate. And to me, I think it taught me in corporate sales, they said, the best type of training, you can sit there and lecture, but unless you're a great salesperson who can make people go out like a pastor and minister, you need to just show them by doing it.
Well, that's the way it goes. That's what we're trying to do. Now, remember, you guys, we have to position ourselves, too, so people are interested. And just coming out saying that you use Twitter and Facebook ain't enough.
Right.
Remember, part of what we're doing is attempting to empower artists, spread the information. Right. But we have to sing our own song and tell our story. So we're trying to gear up for this. That's why I'm showing you. This is why we're having a community manager, because we're including you all in our efforts to get busy managing ourselves. We want you to see how we're struggling with it. And no, we're not doing wonderful, but we're identifying the things to do. And there's a bunch to do. And remember, we're going to be embracing and showing the world you. Because the whole thing about what Pack Stereo is doing is showcasing the neo-urban world.
It's interesting what you're saying. Are we really talking now? Because, look, we're talking about a community managers meeting. So really what this is embracing right now, because we're looking at about a half hour. We're really trying to talk about the principles of social media, not the apps that you could do with. It's the thinking you're talking about. Now, I remember in MySpace days, Mario and I said this, we were building out all these particular profiles. I took 2 or 3 categories that I said I feel sorry for. I said, I can tell you right offhand, these categories are not going to do well by themselves as a genre.
Right.
I said jazz is going to be number 1. I said gospel is going to be number 2. And I said comedy is going to be 3. Yeah. I said just watch how they are. Now, when you go to YouTube, I said, now go look at all your categories. And this is before it hit. I said, it's not that it's the apps that's telling you what's happening. It's a part of the culture. Comedians don't get paid that much, okay? Jazz, underrepresented since radio kind of left them out in the wind. So we actually
jazz is having a hard time as a term.
And we sat there and said, if we build out these genre-based profiles for new jazz, traditional jazz, and give them a place and a presence, what we didn't think about is the mindset of a jazz musician. The mindset is different.
That's totally what Vic is saying is, because this is relevant. We're all trying to build community. He's giving you a specific example where the mindset of the community actually impedes selling it.
Yep.
We love jazz, right?
Yeah.
Jazz is hard to promote. And let me tell you something, the jazz artists are no help. They are no help. See, what happens is, unfortunately, with certain groups, they are just way more backwards. I don't even want to be polite. They're just backwards.
Right.
And so because they're backwards, they allow their whole genre almost to disappear.
fade away.
I told Harvey Mason that when you search jazz drummer, his name don't come up nowhere.
No. And he's
world class.
Look, and
world class.
And Ndugu Chancellor.
Ndugu
we was right
lives down the street. Ndugu lives down the street.
And I was just walking by him. I was doing the Martin Luther King Festival. Talked to him, sat in front of the house. We was talking. And I don't want to put a finger on it. He says it's just so hard when you have all these things. One thing to sit back, first of all, you have to identify your culture and outlets. The other thing is now to embrace the new evolution. And when you have groups that are kind of stuck, they either fold. And here's the thing. For example, if it's not for the young people, funk would be just totally gone, the term. But they've done something to keep it there. Neo-funk, alternative funk.
Right.
But if it's up to the traditionalists, they go like, nah, I'm not going to work it no more. I'm rebelling because I don't like that now the new movement is something else. You have to do relationships. Stay relevant. Eris, you just said that.
Now, for everybody listening, this is the community manager meeting. And all of the first ones, unfortunately, or fortunately, have to take this kind of a vein because people don't understand what we're talking about. So before we can actually get down to different details, which we're going to have coming up in more specific shows, we are going to have the conversation about what is a community manager. Should I be one? Do I need one? And remember, we said, yes, you do. Yes, you need to be one. Yes, you need to have one. And we're going to talk about, and again, why? Because we're going to attempt to be successful. We could do this with each other.
Right.
And it helps. We already are helping each other, especially the Pack Stereo team. Mac McAllister promotes us every week.
Yeah.
Every week. We have a presence within his broadcast, and the value of that is priceless.
Right.
See, it's the associations of why we attempt to promote ourselves to the world. And remember, that's why you, the artist, that's why Eris is so important, because you got to be bringing artists to the world.
Right.
See, that's the whole point. You can't just have this mechanism that is Pack Stereo without it exposing things to the world that is not doing anything.
Right.
So we're trying to expose people to the world. And in order to do it most efficiently, we have to, like Vic says, learn to spend X amount of time every day promoting and establishing relationships. I told you, I plead guilty. I'm a creative person who likes to go off in the hole.
Right.
Lock myself away.
Right.
And do my music. When Vic and I started, we talked frankly, and he sort of just kind of backed me up because he knew I wasn't doing that. I wasn't doing it. I was locked away like a lot of y'all. You can't do that. You can't be creative and say, oh, I'm going to go be in the hole.
It's too easy. It's fun being creative.
Yeah, it's cool being in the hole, but it's a cop-out.
Yeah.
It's a cop-out. And people who I knew were telling me all the time, oh, you got to get out and meet these people. They're going to like you. They're going to take your calls.
Didn't you get a call today?
I did. I called them from KABC.
KABC called you today, right?
KBC.
Right. So already, see, this is the part where I said, karma's a bitch. Soon as you think you're running away from it, you're running right into it.
In other words, I'm saying, how is it different I thought about that. I said, the issues that we actually all have the same issues. It's just a matter of when and how we're doing it. We all were running for something.
Yeah.
Okay, and I was hiding out, doing this. And it's still a way of hiding out because I'm not out there. So we're getting ready. So we're telling everybody, we're starting to identify the tasks. So if you have music to promote, even if you have a team, there's certain tasks you need to adopt to make it more efficient.
Right.
Okay, then the whole networking and promoting yourself out there in the world. And also to take advantage and go actively looking for the folks who are doing stuff. So remember that, because that's why I'm showing you this piece here about the blacks in technology. Vic and I are making some plans for them right now, right, Vic?
Yep.
We're making some plans for them right now in terms of sponsorship things, and that we're just trying to make our final decision this week about this. But in terms of blacks in technology, this is why we have to have a presence. And remember, when we have a presence, we're going to be there talking to you, promoting you. And theoretically, if we're there doing events, like if we get a chance to get Mae Jemison in the interview and let her talk about her African dance and all the things she did, we need to have you in the chat room. And have Mac in the chat room and PMC in the chat room, Eris in the chat room, all the folks interacting so they can, again, make their own impact, but also to show the world, too, who we represent. So we're going to try to roll into the South by Southwest Conference. Really geared up. That's why the rest of this month, a lot of what we're doing has to do with our planning for this. Getting things ready, getting the technology ready, getting ready to do the broadcast there, stepping out, talking to people, sending emails out so that we could do it. Why, again? Because we have to promote and network. So for you all, each week what we're going to do, at least in the beginning, and I'm going to do it for a few more weeks, still deal with mostly concept. Because I have to, it's a battle for the hearts and minds. So I have to convince you of the value. So what we do to convince you of the values is have these kinds of conversations. Show you what Pack Stereo is doing. And also telling you that by doing this, you start to measure results, which is basically people who are communicating with you. With the goal of a very, very basic goal of initiating 10 conversations a day.
Yeah, and look, what they said is it's kind of difficult, especially because not everybody, we're not asking people to go out and broadcast and become broadcasting. No, not for a moment. What we're trying to say
I gave up on that one.
Yeah, that's right.
As a geek guy, I've wanted everybody else to broadcast. No one. I got 100% strikeout rate. Why do I have 100%?
Because you know what
strikeout rate?
Because they do this.
100%.
You know what? And like I said, and I always tell Mario this, so it's no big deal. And I don't have to tell the people who already know this, but I just love hearing it. Like I said, we need greater mentors. Everybody needs a mentor unless you're Big Papa or Big Mama on the planet. And I remember how, like I said, if it wasn't for this guy, this aeronautical guy, he says, it's nothing like being in a room full of geniuses. Nothing's ever simple. See, and he said, you're going to find out because they're going to say our culture is so different that he actually gave me the lesson, and I couldn't believe it. And Mario, think about this: you are at your level. Here you are, Howard, USC, medicine. The guy sits down and tells him, you're going to write an instruction book of how to go on appointments. It's going to be written at the 7th grade level, and you're going to watch their faces as they try to figure out. So do I mark the box when I call them first or after I go on the appointment and say I went on the appointment? It was so simple. He says, that's the struggle. That broadcasting is very complicated for creative people. You're creative, but you're also a techie. So for you, it's like water running.
Whatever they say, but that's not the way it came. Okay. So you guys going to watch us attempt to figure out what we're doing and do it. We know a couple of things. We always were about sharing the journey and the know-how. That's been there from the beginning. I don't see any reason to change. Okay? So we're all about sharing the information, the technology. Now, if you're one of the people watching this show, you get to understand the value of being out there in front and learning these things, and also the value of being alone. Because you're not going to have a bunch of help. In other words, and let's be frank about our community. Because everybody go, who's the our? I'll just leave that blank for a minute. You're not going to find a bunch of help within our community because they have no idea of this stuff. So you're just not going to. So if you need that, see, because we get a bunch of people coming over here. Well, I never heard about this. Well, who do you hang out with? Hate to say it, you're not going to. So you need to either be the leader of your group and expose everybody around you. As much as you hate the idea, like Mac would be the leader of the senior broadcasting people. Norman with his community, PMC with his community. I said the part that's amazing is that people don't want that role. I know, and neither did I initially. But you end up being the ambassador. If you're watching this show, You're going to be the one telling your friends about what you learned. You're not going to get feedback from your associates that, ooh, this is wonderful, because they will have no idea of what the hell you're talking about, okay? So you just got to get that through your head. And if you need that from them, you're going to have a problem.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you, people out there are too far behind, right?
Yeah.
And they can't take advantage of what's free.
And
what's free.
And let me just say that the more talented you are, the less that you have to have the responsibility of doing it. So really, let's just say this. Are we more into entertainment technology that's entertaining?
Notice how Victor keep asking me to define.
That's right.
See, notice what
I'm
Victor's
saying.
asking me, because he asks me this all the time, and I always have trouble answering it. Go on, Vic, again.
What I'm saying is, you can call it whatever you want, but the people need to tell you what you're doing. And the biggest thing that we go through is people go like this. The headphones? Oh, we're going to go on your radio show. I said, radio doesn't go live and show you video. You just listen to radio. You see us, but they keep calling you radio. Why? It's because that's where they came from. So what they're saying, the responsibility. See, this is community management. It says, how do you get the term to mean the value of what you're providing as a service? And I said, you can't change people when they haven't been subjected to it. Because if you go to radio right now, how often can you go to radio and go see the guest that's on the show live? And they're streaming 3-4 days a week.
We're way ahead of radio. We're ahead of most regular radio already.
See, that's what I'm saying. So when they come to you, they're going to take the closest association of the experience they feel that connects with what they're doing. I watch ESPN, and it's on TV, cable. And they say, this is ESPN radio. It just so happens the camera's on. What is that telling?
Well, see, I don't know. And I don't know whether we're in. See, I don't know if we're entertained. Okay. No, let me just think out loud. The whole point of doing shows like this is that we realize, and other people have stated, that if you allow the world to watch the process,
right,
that is essentially the reality television phenomena. Remember, reality TV just happened. In the beginning, I was hating reality TV, just hating it. What is this shit that TV has become? And then later on, as certain ones got better, I also began to realize that it specifically affected us, and that reality TV made the public more receptive to these types of shows, specifically. Okay?
Right. More
receptive to these types of shows, and that actually people want to watch your life. Like, if you watch Hip Hop Atlanta,
right,
you're watching the life of people trying to get busy in the rap game or in the music game.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
What you have to start to wonder is, if you let them see your life, how much of that is entertainment?
Right. That's right.
So I decided I have to play that role. We have, because we have a limited ability here to make shows, you guys. I mean, we not no show make.
No.
So we ain't gonna wheel out all the cameras and blah 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 and all this. So part of the shows that we're doing is letting people see the struggle we have to build this.
Right.
Because theoretically, there are other folks who will be coming, because you're going to hear the word in a minute of personal internet television.
True.
Or personal television.
It's going to be transferable through your TV. So what you're going to do is end up embracing it, even though it's the same. Just the vehicle and the tool is going to be used is going to make you appreciate it even more. But guess what's going to happen? The gangsters or the barbarians at the gate are going to be all ahead of you.
Exactly.
What is not my fear? When the indie record labels figure out that they can broadcast and own their own content and distribution,
they ain't got it.
They ain't got it. I said,
they ain't got it
you
yet.
guys don't even realize what
they
you have.
Get it.
You're too busy holding.
Right.
It's called inventory massaging. They massage the inventory to wait for the perfect time. I said, you don't realize when corporate finds a way to get ahead of the game, they're always ahead. They just let you develop it and then come buy it and acquire it.
So that's why why you're having this meeting again. What we're saying is that we're going to try this stuff. We're going to tell you what we're trying. We're going to invite you to try it too. We're going to tell you how to try it. It's all free.
Right.
We got your back. It has to be us. There is no one else. We got your back. And I'm saying you don't have to get it right.
Right.
You can start playing with it now.
Right.
Because you're going to learn it with time, so that when it hits, believe me, we've had this phenomenon with Twitter. Remember we were talking about Twitter 5 years.
Yep.
5 years after it, we had tested 6 or 8
Right.
Twitter clones.
Right.
People started saying to me, "Hey Mario, I'm hearing that thing Twitter. Remember that thing you were talking about
Hey,
Twitter?"
I was so happy.
I'm like, "Oh God, finally, y'all! I've been saying Twitter coming."
I was so stoked on Twitter. I remember being upstairs, and I was doing my show called What's Next, and the experience. I remember San Diego.
That's
Fires.
how old that
That's
was.
how old.
We were doing the single camera shows that were 5 minutes, single camera,
right,
and we were testing Twitters.
testing Twitter, and I remember. I don't know, was this 2006, 7?
Probably right around 6 or 7.
And I remember being able to report on a fire ahead of major media.
Oh, yes.
Uploaded the video. The video got uploaded and delivered. And I remember the time. I timed it to say I got this report, and it was less than a minute.
No, you did the one where the
Right.
guy got killed.
That's right.
The unfortunate incident where the
Unfortunate.
guy, drag racer, somebody died in the accident.
Yes.
And you said, "Dude, it's on Twitter now. The
Now.
news ain't even got to it,
and it
man."
took 24 hours before the news hit it.
And we were like, "You kidding me? This is on Twitter?" We were like looking, wow, so people are talking about events
Right.
before the news hit. We were
Man.
freaking out. We were going like, "Ain't this a bitch?" So what we try to tell y'all is you can be part. We're going to show you what we're doing as we attempt to figure it out. If you can slowly, and that's what I said, all the early shows are going to be explaining what we're trying to do because we know how. I realized I had to slow up because people weren't understanding the whys. And I needed to explain the whys. Even though we're going to be fixing shit on Tuesday nights, on Monday nights, we're going to talk about what we're doing, the philosophy,
Right.
the understanding, the concepts. And we invite you to attempt to use these specific things that we're going to do to promote yourself and also to have us promote you too.
Yeah.
And so that we could talk about you when we go out.
Yeah. And look, I'm telling you right now, I'm on a mentor hunt. It says you can't do it alone. And even when you know you're great at what you do, you can't just do it alone successfully. You'll fall in love with the things you find easy to do. But the thing that stays consistent through everything is developing personal relationships. Like I said, I've learned that when you go ask for something, you make sure you give them something first that says, this is how much it's worth to me just for you to do this with me. And I've always had that philosophy. So when I go out and I start talking, I always say, let me show you first and offer the opportunity. I don't mind you saying no, but at least I don't have to have you run home. I can actually sit there and say, this is what we do. Are we the best quality programming? No, we're not the best. But we love the technology and the integration of the content. So what's key here? We need as much unique content, interaction, social media content, even in simplest form, to spray throughout our network. Don't wait for the video and the live show and our broadcast. Just don't wait for that.
And that's why you see me embracing Mac 2 so much, PMC so much,
Right.
Why they're so helpful. It's just hard to believe, I think, sometimes that you could be that helpful.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure PMC kind of got shocked at some point where he was going like, these dudes kind of actually pulling me in and trying to get me to do more.
Yeah, got you.
I mean, I admit it has
They're
to feel
not.
weird to you
Look.
because you got to be going, wait, why are they? Norman too. Norman probably got to be saying, wait, Mario trying to pull me.
Wait a minute.
And I say, you guys, that's because that really is the journey.
Right.
And the story is, remember what's the interesting stories? The stories are you guys, and that's what's so interesting.
And it's interesting. I think
And
a lot
us
of
too.
There's a lot, and there's examples. This doesn't mean it's not. It doesn't mean it's not working. Everybody appreciates for example, the NAACP awards, right? That was just over the weekend. And if it's anything that deals with image, it's the image of those who are, setting the examples for a lot to follow. Now they get a lot of the traditions. There's only so many. Black entertainers at the level of where they're proud for the image. And I had told somebody, I said, it's going to be hard to get into this group to try to have a difference because they're not following. Now, if you go, I know people right now that's just friends that are not doing that much, that I go look at their Facebook, for example, and they got thousands of likes. I went to the NAACP and I said, this is the part that made me just pause. And I said, maybe it's just a profile page, not the big one. Something on that national level had just a little over 8,000 likes. Now imagine what that's
Well,
saying.
that's saying a lot.
That 8,000 likes for the NAACP Image Awards, something that represents multiple artists, whether it's Halle Berry, Denzel Washington, Samuel Jackson, all of them.
NAACP Image Awards ain't selling.
And I'm saying, and I was talking to a director of PR
ain't the Source
at a certain
Awards.
company. And I said, do you see what I'm talking about when they say we need to get the fire under our ass? Not because you need to get into technology because you don't like it. It says it's the tool that's going to be used against you based on competition. And the competition is exposure and utilization and delivery of the content. And if you're not delivering it in the language they understand, the young entrepreneurs coming up are being born into interactivity. They're not traditional coming from the old school days. So they don't know anything but to do the things that they're growing up with. And if you watch corporate, I watch it every day. I watch what they do. And I said, you can tell that the young producers are in the mix. Let me say this. Watch your camera people. I remember camera people, when you start watching them, they were always older guys. Now
Now it's different.
They're young.
Well,
so my whole point is they're transferring that culture where they're saying, hey, we grow up with this all day.
Well, we're going to give you guys examples. Why? Soon. Because we are in Los Angeles. Big communities, resources at UCLA and USC.
Right.
Not to count the community colleges. And so Vic and I, as part of our plans, remember, the outreach plans involve us reaching out to the universities. So you're going to see us trying to bring in some of these young minds, okay, who are doing stuff. They're already doing stuff and then attempting to empower them.
Right.
I can't cover hip-hop. I got to get hip-hop people to cover hip-hop.
That's true.
I'm the old R&B jazz dudes, okay? I can add my part to it, but we got to pull in the communities that are part of these things. You're going to see Vic and I embrace it. And again, ideally, you all get to watch, interact, imitate, do those same things, pose the questions. We're going to be giving you the same kind of tasks to look at that we're doing and say, look at what we're doing, see what you think.
Right.
We're going to be experimenting too because we have to do this. And remember, if we can get Black Los Angeles, this is Los Angeles.
Right.
You get Black Los Angeles, you got Black the whole world. You get Black the whole world, you got crossover immediately.
Right.
You have to think big.
Yep.
The problem, I think, is people forget to dream. Mac, you're old enough that you could tell him you saw TV come in and change.
Right.
Mac can tell you he's old enough. See, the whole record industry as you know it, okay, is a baby. Ain't been around. That's why they don't really have enough history yet because they're still changing. All that's going to change.
Right.
So what we're going to say is we're going to attempt to lead and make it clear what we're doing, mistakes and all.
Right.
And we're going to tell you where we're attempting to head, mistakes and all.
Yeah.
And you can weigh in wherever you see fit.
Right.
Okay, as we attempt to fill this out. And we have to do it right now because as of March 8th, we're going to be rolling out of here like March 7th. And we have to have planned, we have to have all of our interactions set up, meetings set up, communications established. If we're going to have an event or a dinner thing at the South by Southwest, we have to get all those things set up. You can be part of that chat room to promote yourself. All those things. We have to get going because as of March 8th, we have to be there in Austin, Texas, actively interacting. And we know we're going to be interacting with the Blacks in Technology group. Just as a start, we're going to also be attempting to bring you information and tie this all in to how we get this whole new start and push for Pack Stereo, where it's not so much we can lay back and even focus just on the shows, even though that's going to continue. But we attempt now to interact with people and get them to know who we are. We want Shaquille O'Neal to know who we are and that we exist. We want Magic Johnson to know who we are and that we exist. Okay? These are the kind of things. And remember, everything that you all do is of value, is helpful to us. And I got to acknowledge again, thanks again, PMC, out there promoting. Tomorrow, on Tuesday's show, with DeVoe and them are here, we're going to get a chance to look at some of the videos everybody's been putting up and have some fun with that tomorrow. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. So again, this has been the community manager meeting. We're going to be here every Monday for just approximately an hour. And in the beginning times, mostly talking about philosophies, about what we're doing. 'Cause we want to drop sparks into your brain. We want you to leave out of here like, damn, Mario. So then write us with some questions. Ask me to define things more clearly. That's what we want to do, is get the two-way communication.
And do the questions in your app. Now, chat is great. I love chat and never will trade it.
What do you mean, do the questions in your app?
When I say in your app, Twitter me the questions.
Okay.
Don't do it. See, for example, I don't want to use email at all.
Tweet.
Don't. When you email,
converse in public.
Where does your email go?
You're right.
All right. So my point is this: is if you have questions, even if you know them ahead of the chat room, because the chat room, once it disappears, it doesn't go anywhere. It's not connected to anything for anybody to actually have a history on. And who's going to follow your chat and say, hey, follow me in your chat room? So you have two ways of doing it. Put your Twitter handle in your chat room with your question. So that way, at least when you come out of your chat room, somebody can click it and still respond to your chat. So there's all kinds of ways to do it. For people that's in the music industry, and I'm just segueing here because I love the story of this one person who, he had to do an electronic EPK. And from the days I know, the EPK can be costly because it's an amalgamation of everything coming together: photography, video, bio, photos, everything. Well, young cats are going like this. I have a 5-minute EPK. I'm going to tell you what I do. I'm going to have somebody taking pictures of me when I'm on the video. And then after I tell you my story, I'm going to show you the video of the song, send that out to you. Cost effective, cheap, and social media ready. So they're always looking at ways to say, let me just package it, massage it, and deliver it where it keeps going. And the part I'm saying about that is use whatever you're doing. So you don't see me chatting a lot in here. But you'll see me pretty soon going, my chat is going to have my Twitter handle. Because I need to have that question and conversation go out. And I need the same from you guys. Because it just goes to nowhere land. No, it goes to the cloud. That cloud that doesn't come back to you.
Hey, so we're preaching to you now. Yeah. Tomorrow night at 7:30 is actually the Mario Fixes Shit meeting. Send me stuff. I'm trying to pick stuff that we can actually get done within the context of the show. Mac, I do want to deal with some of your password stuff, so keep that in mind. What I would say, Mac, is if you can send me, I don't know if I want to do it on the show because it could take me more time and it'll be kind of plotting. But I'll go at that sometime this week. No, it might take weekend. But soon. I need to know what emails you used, okay, to try to get into account. But at least we'll talk about the approach to trying to get into locked out accounts you don't know how to get in anymore. Max got a YouTube account with over 1 million hits.
You can't get into it.
And he can't get into it.
Yeah.
And so we're going to attempt to deal with some of those things. We'll be here tomorrow. Remember, take a look at Blacks in Technology, South by Southwest. Remember, you don't have to be there. You could be part of our team so that while we're there, you could be just watching things and sending us information about what you want us to go look at. We're going to be representing you there at South by Southwest. This is a first for us, okay? Hey, Vic, I've been getting different music, which I've been playing, to go in and out of these shows.
Right.
And so the question was, what should I try?
It all depends, man.
Yeah, well, we're going to go out with something.